Good afternoon, Chairman Hurd and members of the subcommittee and Ranking Member Liger Fernandez. My name is Hope Silvas, and I have the honor to serve as acting chairwoman for the Shivwits Band of Paiutes. For the record, I have submitted a more written, detailed testimony on my tribe's history and experience with federal economic development programs. Today, I will focus my spoken remarks on the highlights of that written testimony. Thank you for the opportunity to share our experiences with you today. The Shivwits Band is a small federally recognized tribe located within southern western Utah. Unlike many tribes across Indian country, we have long pursued economic development strategies that align with our size, location, and capacity. Rather than rely upon infeasible federal programming to meet our economic development needs, the Shivwits Band has focused our efforts on things within our control, such as our lands and contracting with outside investment. This has resulted in smaller projects, which include a tribal administrative office, infrastructure development, and small-scale commercial enterprises, and a land-based economic uses consistent with our cultural values. As a small tribe with limited staff and resources, we must be strategic and cautious in our economic decisions. In theory, federal economic development programs are meant to support exactly this type of tribal growth. However, in practice, many of these programs have been difficult for the Shivwits Band to access. Therefore, today I am focused on how federal economic development programs often fail to reach tribes like the Shivwits Band, why many well-intended programs are inaccessible in practice, and how these shortcomings have directly impacted our economic development efforts, and how the Shivwits Band has sought congressional action to address barriers to development. First, one of the most significant barriers that we face is lack of awareness that certain federal economic development programs exist. Many programs are housed across multiple federal agencies, each with its own eligibility criteria and application processes. Information about these programs are often released through channels that do not reach small tribes, particularly those with limited administrative capacity. In several instances, due to a lack of coordinated outreach and communication, we have become aware of federal programs only after application deadlines have passed. When tribes are unaware of programs, we cannot plan projects, build partnerships in advance, or align our internal priorities with federal funding opportunities. Second, even when we are aware of federal programs, many are unsuitable for the Shivwits Band as they are not designed with small or rural tribes in mind. Common challenges to access include eligibility requirements that favor large-scale projects, unrealistic match funding requirements, scoring criteria that reward prior federal grant success, and timelines that do not account for tribal decision-making processes or capacity constraints. As a result, tribes like the Shivwits Band are often disadvantaged or discouraged from applying for such programs altogether. Third, although federal programs have occasionally supported our infrastructure, the Shivwits Band has pursued economic development largely through our own resources, partnerships, and incremental growth. In some cases, federal programs were not flexible enough to accommodate the small scale or nature of our projects. In other cases, the administrative burden of compliance outweighed potential benefits of the funding. This has led us to rely more heavily on internal planning and conservative development approaches, even when federal programs were theoretically intended to support tribal economic growth. Bureaucratic issues and delays have also led the Shivwits Band to pursue its own legislation, the Shivwits Band of Paiutes Jurisdictional Clarity Act, in order to strengthen our economic development efforts by removing jurisdictional hurdles to our economic development and placing us on a level playing field by permitting us to engage in leases of terms comparable to those available to non-Indian entities. Fourth, another major obstacle is the administrative burden of federal programming. For small tribes, the same staff members are often responsible for application, governance, compliance, grant management, and community service, all on top of their regular job responsibilities. The Shivwits Band wants federal economic development programs to succeed for all tribes, not just the large and most powerful, so that we can one day come before this subcommittee and talk about our successes with the aid of federal programs. For federal programs to truly work in Indian country, they must be accessible, transparent, and designed with the diversity of tribal nations in mind. Economic development is a cornerstone of tribal self-determination. When federal programs fail to reach tribes like the Shivwits Band, these programs miss the opportunity to strengthen tribal governments, improve community well-being, and fulfill the federal trust responsibility. For these reasons, the Shivwits Band seeks the legislative fix afforded by the Shivwits Band of Paiutes Jurisdictional Clarity Act to further our self-determination and independence. Thank you again for the opportunity to share the Shivwits Band's experience, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Perfect timing. Thank you, Chairwoman Silvas, for that testimony. The chair now recognizes Chairman Butler for 5 minutes. Chairman Butler.